Roshini, does buying an investment property in Munich in the current market make sense? I currently see that the returned rent is lower than interest rate in most cases. You have to look at the whole concept. I mean, buying a property in Munich, I would say, is pretty safe, to be honest. But yeah, there are different prices than when we talk about Augsburg, Ingolstadt. Okay, there are different prices. But I always say, a vacancy in Munich, you're not gonna really see that. The demand is super high, as you know. The rents are also super high, so I wouldn't really worry about the rent is low, because it depends what property you have. If you're having, let me go a little bit here in the camera. It depends what property you have. If you're having a property which is older, not renovated, and probably you're not gonna furnish it, then you're gonna have less rent expected. But if you say, hey, I'm gonna probably renovate my property, or I'm buying it renovated and furnished, which is called a Sondervermietungskonzept, then you can charge more in rent, and then it's a better return for you, right? So you really have to look at both things, and it also depends on the prices. The prices are higher here, but it's a safe place to buy, and there are still good deals in Munich. You have to look for it. But if you go for such a concept, if you go for such a Sondervermietungskonzept, what I talked about, then it makes sense in bigger cities like Munich, because in most cases, I don't know how big that property is, but let's say it's a 1 or 2 room, it makes sense, because the big companies, for example, BMW, Siemens, and all,
Allianz,
they have all these workers, right? They look for them for a property, or they're also in contact with the property managers. So in most cases, the companies are also paying the rent.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but
that would be pretty good if you have a rental contract with BMW.
Yeah, I can give you an example. I had a property. It was pretty close to the center. 1 room, it was 28 square meter, and the tenant paid 1,000 euros cold. So it's possible, and that's I wouldn't say it's a higher rent, right? It's not that normal, but for that location, for that condition, what was renovated and furnished, absolutely you can get that.
Yeah. It depends a little bit again what your strategy is, because again, Munich is only location, so then we have still age and all of it, what you can do out of it. Like you mentioned, of course, biggest university in Germany, right? So Sondervermietung, WG concept with multiple students makes sense if they don't ruin your apartment and make parties all night long. I think the big argument for Munich is that it's super safe. Like there's no alternative. If you look around, like 100 kilometers, there's Augsburg, which is like as expensive as Munich almost. So there's nothing really, right? That's completely different in the Ruhrgebiet, for example, where you have many different towns. Munich is just, there's no alternative here in the south really. So that speaks for Munich. Of course, you have to pay the price for it, right? Because that's what everybody knows. Not only we're telling no secret here that there's nothing in 100 kilometers around Munich.
Yeah,
my strategy is more B and C, because I feel Munich is, now they're gonna come at me with the crash thing, but I'll just say it. I feel Munich is too expensive for what you're getting. And I live in Munich, so I know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't buy in Munich. I'm not gonna buy a home. We talked about this the last time. I feel it's too expensive. I would rather buy 2 small properties worth 200, 250K in a B, C location. I mean, you guys know it, right? I bought in Düsseldorf. Now with German real estate, we have a lot of properties in Leipzig, which is an exciting location. I'd rather buy 2 small ones in a B or C location than 1 big one in an A location. But that's my personal, because I like diversification.
Yeah, that's true. It depends on your strategy, guys. So if you go for a property in Munich, for example, don't go, like investment property, we're talking, don't go bigger than, if you want to start small, don't go bigger than 2 rooms or 1 room, because more and more people or young professionals, they move to Munich. Okay, so after Corona, people want to come back, they want to socialize, they want to go out, and this is what they find downtown or like in Munich. but also the other concept, what I talked about the BG concept, putting more tenants in there and having a better ROI. It depends. Yeah.
And you can afford more than 2 rooms here anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.